Capricorn. If you found this message, it's because something sacred is shifting. Not outside you, but within. You've been feeling it, haven't you? A strange resistance in the very place you once called home. A heaviness in the spaces that once felt safe. A quiet discomfort in conversations that used to make sense. And though nothing dramatic may have happened on the surface, your soul has already packed its bags. But here's what no one tells you. You are not being pushed out. You are being positioned. This isn't chaos. It's not collapse. It's not failure. It is divine restructuring. A cosmic alignment so intentional that if you saw the blueprint, your jaw would drop. The universe is not tearing you away from something. It is placing you in the exact position where your power becomes unshakable, your talents undeniable, and your soul, finally understood. I say this to you not just as a spiritual astrologer, but as someone who has spent decades reading the energetic language of Saturn, your ruling planet. And Saturn, my dear Capricorn, doesn't do accidents. It does assignments. You were never meant to remain where your greatness could not grow. And the reason you've felt so out of place, so restless recently, is because the vibration of your current environment has expired. The soil can no longer nourish the roots of your future. And so, the universe, ever faithful to its promise, is transplanting you. Now, here's what makes this moment sacred. Most people will misread this chapter. They'll say it's loss. They'll call it rejection. But you, Capricorn, you must know better. Because this isn't about rejection. It's about realignment. A greater purpose is calling you. One that requires space, vision, and yes, a shift in location. And while it may feel like you're losing ground, in truth, the ground is moving beneath you to elevate your next step. In this journey, we'll uncover why the place you're in is no longer serving the blueprint of your soul. What Saturn is realigning, not to punish you, but to crown you. How your next chapter is tied not just to geography, but to destiny. And most importantly, how the love, support, recognition, and abundance you've been working for is already waiting in the space you've been divinely redirected toward. This isn't a chapter you can skip. It's the chapter your whole life has been building toward. So breathe deep. Your relocation isn't a mistake. It's a spiritual coronation. You're not being pushed out. You're being positioned for your destiny. Part 1. The hidden signs that your environment is no longer aligned with your soul purpose. Capricorn. You've always known how to endure. You've stayed in situations longer than most relationships, jobs, homes, even silent battles, because that's your way. You build, you commit, you stabilize. But sometimes, what looks like strength is actually slow spiritual suffocation. There comes a moment when the walls you built to feel safe start to feel like a cage. The very routines that once brought structure now bring stagnation. And the energy around you, it feels too small. That's not your imagination. That's your soul whispering, this place has done all it can for your growth. Let me tell you about a woman named Erin, a Capricorn client of mine from Illinois. She had built a modest but stable life, a teaching job she was respected for, a quiet apartment she'd been in for years, and a group of friends she'd known since college. But over time, she started waking up tired, not physically, but spiritually. She felt unseen, unheard, and creatively numb. She brushed it off. Capricorn style. I should be grateful, she'd say. And yet, every time she came home, her soul sank a little more. What Erin didn't know, and what I told her when I read her transiting Saturn chart, is that she was in the final degree of a karmic cycle. A space that had once supported her journey was now suffocating her calling. That apartment. It was built for her former self. That job. It rewarded stability, not innovation. Those friends. They knew her past, not her becoming. Capricorn, when your surroundings are no longer in alignment, the universe won't scream. It will whisper. At first, it's subtle. A sense of boredom where there used to be passion. Delays and roadblocks in things that used to flow easily. A growing disconnection with people you once felt close to. Then, the whispers become heavier. A contract falls through. Your health starts showing signs of stress. You start having dreams about leaving again and again. If you're experiencing these, It's not failure. It's energetic misalignment. You see, Capricorn's spirit is meant to build kingdoms. But a kingdom can't be built on sinking soil. The truth is this: your soul evolves faster than your environment does. And if you don't move when the whisper comes, the universe will begin to push. Not because it's cruel, but because your growth matters too much to let you stay stuck in a structure you've outgrown. And here's the most ironic thing: Capricorns don't resist change because they fear it. You resist it because you feel responsible for the old. You don't want to disappoint your boss. You don't want to leave the people who need you. You think, maybe I can still make it work. But what if it's not about making it work anymore? What if the lesson is, you're allowed to walk away from the structure you outgrew even if you built it yourself? Let me repeat that, because it's crucial. You're allowed to walk away from the structure you outgrew even if you built it yourself. Capricorn, it is not disloyalty to leave. It is loyalty to your becoming. The longer you stay in a place that no longer fits, the heavier your gifts become. Your magic starts turning into resentment. Your drive becomes exhaustion. And your purpose dims. The signs are there. The whispers are clear. You are not failing. You are being called out of alignment so you can realign with your highest destiny. Life lesson number 1. When your spirit starts aching for more, listen, not with fear, but with reverence. The space you're in may have served you once, but your soul is now asking, can you let go of comfort in order to meet your calling? Part 2. The Saturn shift, why the universe needs you somewhere else. Capricorn. Have you ever wondered why things that used to come naturally have started to feel forced? Why certain doors, even ones you've worked years to build, have stopped opening? It's not random. It's not sabotage. It's Saturn. Your ruling planet is not just a celestial body, it's the sacred architect of your life. Saturn doesn't deal in chaos. It deals in alignment, timing, and consequence. And right now, it's repositioning you, because the next level of your soul's assignment requires a different setting. You see, Saturn rules structure, discipline, responsibility, and karma. But it also governs boundaries. And sometimes, the most spiritual boundary Saturn can enforce is removing you from an environment that has become too small for your greatness. Let me share something most people don't realize. Capricorn is not just a builder, it's a relocator of power. And when power is misplaced, whether in a job, a city, a relationship, or even a mindset, Saturn steps in. Not with chaos, but with correction. You'll notice it in quiet ways first. The meeting you were counting on suddenly gets postponed. A project you've poured energy into hits an unexplained wall. People start fading. Conversations feel one-sided. Even your own motivation starts slipping. This is Saturn's signature. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Capricorn. I once worked with a man named David, a Capricorn sun with Saturn transiting his 4th house of home and foundation. He had spent 10 years building his dream career in Seattle, corner office, 6 figures, respect from everyone in his field. But then, slowly, the energy shifted. His department restructured. His mentorships ended. He started dreading Monday mornings, and he couldn't understand why. He thought it was burnout. But when I looked at his chart, I saw Saturn was guiding him out, not because he failed, but because he had completed the contract. He was trying to water a plant that had already given him all its fruit. That's the thing, Capricorn. Saturn doesn't care about comfort. It cares about growth through truth. And sometimes truth sounds like, this space, this position, this season, has completed its purpose. Now you must go where your next assignment awaits. You are being moved, not because you're unworthy of what's here, but because what's here is unworthy of the next version of you. Let that sink in. When Saturn shifts your path, it will feel like things are falling apart. But in reality, they are falling into alignment. You're not losing momentum, you're being rerouted to an entirely new map. That delay, that rejection, that sense of being pushed out, it's Saturn protecting your timeline. Because if you stayed where you are, you'd survive, but you wouldn't expand. Here's something that may surprise even seasoned astrologers. Saturn's deepest magic isn't in discipline. It's in divine redirection. Your soul signed up to be a builder of empires. But even empires need correct placement, a firm ground, an aligned foundation, and a location with spiritual permission. This is not just about relocation. This is about spiritual reassignment. The universe is pulling you out because it needs your power elsewhere. And what waits for you there? An environment that matches your vibrational frequency. Connections that recognize your depth and don't take your silence as distance. Opportunities that don't just use your skills, but amplify your mission. A space where you're no longer just the responsible one, but the visionary leader you were always meant to be. Life lesson number 2. When Saturn closes a door, it's not to trap you, it's to reroute you to your divine coordinates. The key is not to resist the redirection, but to walk through it with trust, knowing that what lies ahead was custom built for your becoming. Part 3. The energy of the new place, why it holds the keys to your next level. Capricorn. There's a truth we rarely say out loud. Your environment either elevates your gifts or it buries them. And for someone like you, whose life is built on purpose, discipline, and legacy, where you are matters just as much as who you are. Because no matter how strong you are, and you are, you can't thrive in a place that doesn't honor your frequency. Let me explain what I mean. Every city, every home, every job, every room has a vibration. Some places hum with life. Others pull at your energy like invisible weights. Some spark ideas the moment you enter. Others slowly dim the light behind your eyes. Capricorn, the place you've been, it had a purpose. It taught you resilience. It gave you structure. It may have even saved you, once. But now, it's complete. And the longer you stay, the more it drains what it's no longer meant to contain, your expansion. You've outgrown the spiritual infrastructure of that space. And the new environment that's calling you, it's not just somewhere different. It's coded for who you're becoming. It holds frequencies you haven't met yet. People you were always meant to meet. Opportunities you couldn't access because they weren't meant for the version of you that stayed behind. This new place, it's not random. It's engineered to activate your next level. Let me share a story. A client of mine, Teresa, also a Capricorn, had built a business from scratch in a small East Coast town. But after 7 years, things started drying up. Not because she was doing anything wrong, but because her frequency had changed. She kept pushing. Advertising more. Trying harder. Working longer. Nothing moved. She was exhausted. I told her, Teresa, you're trying to bloom in soil that no longer recognizes your roots. She resisted the idea of moving. Of starting over. She thought it meant losing what she built. But 3 months later, almost overnight, she felt this undeniable pull to visit Austin. Just a short trip, she said. By the second day, everything was different. She was inspired again. She couldn't stop writing down ideas. And when she walked into a coffee shop, she met a woman who became her business partner and helped expand her brand nationally. It wasn't about the coffee shop. It was about energy. Alignment. That space held the keys to a version of herself she couldn't access back home. Capricorn, the new place that's calling you, it's already holding pieces of you. Ideas. Partnerships. Peace. Recognition. Belonging. But you have to arrive for those things to unlock. You see, your purpose is encoded with coordinates. And if you ignore the call to shift locations, you delay the unlock. You are not just leaving a space. You are activating a dimension of destiny that only opens when your feet land on new soil. Let me be clear. This is not escapism. This is realignment. The old space worked for the old goals. But the goals have changed. The mission has matured. And the new space, it has the resources to match that evolution. Where you were overlooked, you'll now be celebrated. Where your ideas were met with silence, they'll now spark collaborations. Where your energy was drained, it will now be restored and multiplied. And more than that, this new place will reconnect you to parts of yourself you forgot existed. Your creativity, your intuition, your sense of wonder, even your joy. It will remind you of the version of you that didn't just survive, but the version that thrives, builds, leads, and inspires. Life lesson number 3. Sometimes your soul doesn't need more effort, it needs new energy. You're not running away from a location. You're moving toward the place that finally sees who you are and mirrors back your greatness. Part 4. A sacred companion awaits, how this transition will also awaken emotional belonging. Capricorn. You've carried so much, quietly, consistently, without complaint. And while the world praises your strength, very few people see the weight behind it. The truth is, you weren't just building an empire. You were also protecting a very tender part of yourself. The part that still longs to be seen without having to earn it. But what if I told you this transition, this relocation, isn't just about your career, your future, or your legacy? It's about your heart. Because here's the truth many Capricorns quietly hold. You can be surrounded by people and still feel emotionally homeless. You can be in a room full of family, co-workers, even lovers, and still feel like you have to explain yourself, justify your ambition, minimize your needs, or silence your instincts. That's not connection. That's translation. And Capricorn, your soul is tired of translating who you are. It's time to be in a place where you're simply understood. This next space you're being called to, it isn't just coded with opportunity. It's encoded with connection. The kind of connection that doesn't feel like you're auditioning. The kind where your silence is safe. Where your seriousness isn't misunderstood as coldness, but recognized as depth. Where someone sees your long pauses not as disinterest, but as thinking carefully before speaking. This is more than love. It's emotional alignment. I want to tell you about someone I once read for, Marcus, a Capricorn moon from Oregon. Marcus had achieved more by 34 than most people do in a lifetime. Financial security, properties, a company. But when he came to me, he said something I'll never forget. I've created success everywhere except my own living room. He wasn't being dramatic. He meant that he could buy a new sofa, a better TV, even a second home. But what he truly wanted was to sit in silence next to someone who actually understood him. He thought maybe it was him, too serious, too focused. But I told him, no, Marcus, you're just in the wrong energetic ecosystem. The love you need doesn't live here. 6 months later, he moved across the country for business expansion. And during an event in his first week, not a date, not a setup, he met someone. They didn't fall into a whirlwind romance. They fell into a stillness. A feeling of I don't have to explain myself anymore. Today, they're married. And that house he once said felt empty, it's now a home. Capricorn, this journey you're on, it's not just for your professional self. It's for your emotional evolution. Because here's what Saturn has been trying to teach you. You were never meant to carry the world alone. Yes, you're strong. But strength is not a punishment. It's a foundation meant to be shared, supported, and held in return. In this new chapter, you will begin to draw in connections that resonate on your true frequency. A romantic partner who mirrors your intensity but also your softness. Friends who don't just ask what you're building, but how you're feeling. Collaborators who match your integrity. Conversations that don't exhaust you, they restore you. You are not here to earn love by being useful. You are here to be met fully, deeply, and without condition. The reason love hasn't arrived the way you hoped is not because you're broken. It's because the person who recognizes your light has been waiting in a place your soul has not yet entered. You must move not to find them, but to meet the version of yourself that's ready to receive them. Because you can only receive aligned love when you're living in alignment. And Capricorn, that's what's coming. Life lesson number 4. The love you seek isn't found by staying strong in the wrong place, it's found by standing open in the right one. Sometimes, the relationship your heart has been craving can only begin once you say yes to a new life. Part 5. Legacy realignment, how this new chapter will elevate your purpose beyond success. Capricorn. You've never been one to chase fame for fame's sake. Your ambition has never been hollow. It's never been about applause. It's always been about impact, structure, legacy. The kind of legacy that outlives your name. The kind that isn't measured in numbers, but in roots. But somewhere along the way, the path you were walking started to bend. Not because you strayed, but because your environment could no longer hold the magnitude of your mission. Let's be honest. Capricorn, you've been doing the work. You've shown up, stayed late, sacrificed sleep, bit your tongue. You've built something real with your own 2 hands and your relentless will. But lately, the more you build, the less it fulfills. It's not burnout. It's misalignment. And here's the cosmic truth. You can't fulfill a high calling in a low vibrational space. Your purpose, the real one, requires infrastructure. Not just emotional infrastructure. Not just physical. But spiritual. Your energy is like an architect's blueprint. Precise, visionary, demanding of excellence. But imagine trying to construct a skyscraper in sand. That's what it feels like when your mission outgrows your location. You still have the skills, the discipline, the passion, but the soil won't hold the weight of what you're meant to build. That's why the universe is positioning you now, not to start over, but to build higher. In the new space, your work won't just be productive. It will become magnetic. You'll begin attracting clients, partners, and platforms who see your full vision and are ready to invest in it. Resources that used to feel just out of reach will now flow with synchronicity. Doors that were sealed shut will open without knocking because they recognize your frequency. Capricorn, you didn't come here just to work hard. You came here to build something that lasts. But here's the thing no one tells you. Legacy isn't built in burnout. It's built in alignment. In this new chapter, you're not just switching locations. You're being given the spiritual architecture to build in a way that reflects the truth of who you are, not just the version of you others have leaned on. And that's important, because Capricorn, you've outgrown survival mode. It's time to lead from overflow. I once worked with a Capricorn entrepreneur named Julia, early 40s, Silicon Valley. On paper, she was everything. 2 successful businesses, a TED Talk, a book deal. But she was exhausted, disconnected. And when we dug deeper, she admitted something vulnerable. I built a life people admire, but I don't recognize myself in it anymore. That wasn't a breakdown. That was a soul alarm. Today, Julia lives in Colorado. Her new business is smaller, but more profitable. She works fewer hours, but has more impact. She's mentoring young women, writing poetry again, and hosting workshops on leadership that actually light her up. Why? Because she stopped chasing success that didn't match her soul. She let go of the structure to reclaim the substance. Capricorn, your next level is not about proving yourself anymore. It's about positioning your purpose where it can be fully expressed without distortion. Your legacy is not the sum of your accomplishments. It's the space you create for others to rise because you chose to rise first, authentically. Life lesson number 5. A real legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what comes alive through you, when you stop forcing and start flowing. When you align your environment with your truth, you stop pushing your mission uphill, and start letting it rise like the mountain you were born to climb. Part 6. The sacred unburdening, letting go of what no longer belongs to you. Capricorn, you are strong. But even the strongest hearts grieve when it's time to let go. Because here's the secret most people overlook. Capricorn doesn't struggle with change because they're afraid of the new. They struggle because they honor the old. You don't walk away lightly. Not from homes. Not from people. Not from promises. Not even from pain. You carry it all out of loyalty, out of principle, out of the belief that maybe, just maybe, you can fix it. Hold it together. Make it work. But my dear Capricorn, it's not your job to hold together what's already served its sacred purpose. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when you must stop asking, what do I owe this place? And start asking, what does my soul need now? This is not abandonment. This is not betrayal. This is sacred unburdening. Let me tell you about Camille, a Capricorn rising who lived in Chicago all her life. She had deep roots there. Her family, her memories, even her childhood traumas all tied to that city. She wasn't happy, but she felt guilty even thinking of leaving. Why? Because she thought leaving meant giving up. But what she learned, what Saturn taught her, was this. Sometimes you must leave to honor everything that place gave you. When she finally moved, just a few hours south, she cried the entire drive. Not from fear, but from release. She told me later, "I didn't know how much weight I was carrying, until I put it down." Capricorn, there are things you've been holding on to. Roles you've outgrown. Expectations you never agreed to. Spaces where you're only partially seen. People who love your strength, but not your softness. Versions of you that kept others comfortable, but kept you small. And now, in this holy moment of transition, the universe is asking you to let them go. Not with anger, not with regret, but with reverence. Because they served you. And now their season has ended. The place you're leaving, it may have raised you, but it was never meant to contain you. You were meant to outgrow it. Because when you grow, your energy expands. Your frequency evolves. And anything that can't rise with you will naturally fall away. That's not rejection. That's resonance. This is what the untrained eye will never understand. To the outside world, it may look like you're walking away from a stable job, a familiar city, a perfectly good relationship. But inside, you're walking toward yourself. Toward a life where you don't have to shrink your vision to fit the room. Toward a reality where you don't carry what doesn't belong to you. Toward a future where your gifts, your needs, and your truth are finally allowed to breathe. Capricorn, you are not just shedding an address or a title. You are shedding an identity. One built for survival. One that kept you safe, but now keeps you small. Letting go may feel like dying, but in truth, it is rebirth. And the grief you feel, that's love transforming. This process isn't easy. It will stretch you. Break open old attachments. And yes, you might even question yourself in the quiet moments. But on the other side of this sacred shedding is clarity, freedom, peace, and the deep knowing that you were never meant to carry so much alone. Life lesson number 6. Letting go is not giving up. It is giving back to the universe what no longer belongs to your becoming. Every burden you release becomes space for blessings to land. Conclusion: the divine repositioning of a Capricorn soul. Capricorn, you were never meant to live a life that felt almost right. You were never meant to settle for spaces that applauded your strength, but ignored your sensitivity. You were never meant to just survive, you were built to architect a legacy. And now, the universe, in its infinite precision, is moving you. Not to break you, not to test you, but to position you. To place you exactly where your power can be fully expressed, without distortion, without translation, without shrinking. Think back through everything you've lived so far. The burdens you carried quietly, the silent sacrifices you made for others, the years you stayed loyal to situations that couldn't love you in return, the moments you questioned your timing, your worth, your belonging. None of it was wasted. None of it was a mistake. It was preparation. The divine architecture of Saturn, your ruling planet, doesn't deal in shortcuts. It deals in masterpieces. And you, my dear Capricorn, are one of them. This shift you're stepping into isn't just about a new location. It's a full energetic recalibration. A sacred initiation into your truest form, the version of you that no longer tolerates misalignment, no longer waits for permission, no longer questions whether they are too much or not enough. Because now, you know, you're exactly enough. And it's time to be where that truth is recognized, not resisted. You are not being pushed out. You are being positioned. For love. For peace. For power. For purpose. For the kind of legacy that doesn't just echo in numbers, but in the hearts you touch and the lives you elevate simply by standing in your full self. There will still be days when it feels uncomfortable. When you miss the old version of yourself. When you wonder if this was the right decision. But when those days come, remember this. Your soul didn't come here to stay where it's tolerated. It came to rise where it's celebrated. Capricorn, your next chapter is not a gamble. It's destiny arriving on time. Now is the time to pack light. Let go of what no longer belongs. Walk forward even if your hands shake. Because every step you take now is guided by Saturn, by soul, by sacred design. Final life lesson. The highest version of your life cannot bloom where the ground has gone dry. Trust the shift. Walk the new soil. Because where you're going, your legacy can finally breathe. Call to action, for Zodiac secrets revealed. If this message resonated deeply with your spirit, if you feel like this chapter is speaking directly to your soul, then don't keep it inside. Leave a comment below. I accept the divine repositioning of my life. I trust the shift. I trust my Saturn path. And if you're ready for deeper guidance, more Capricorn truths, and sacred astrological revelations tailored for your journey, subscribe to our channel, Zodiac Secrets Revealed. Because every week, we go beyond the surface and speak directly to the power written in your chart. This is your time. This is your turning point. And we're honored to walk beside you as you rise. Until next time, stand tall, release gently, and never forget, you were never pushed out. You were chosen to rise somewhere greater.